Chapter 10 continued. This was the last sentence by which he could weary Catherine's attention, for he was just then borne off by the resistless pressure of a long string of passing ladies. Her partner now drew near and said, "That gentleman would have put me out of patience had he stayed with you half a minute longer. He has no business to withdraw the attention of my partner from me. We have entered into a contract of mutual agreeableness for the space of an evening, and all our agreeableness belongs solely to each other for that time. Nobody can fasten themselves on the notice of one without injuring the rights of the other. I consider a country dance as an emblem of marriage. Fidelity and complaisance are the principal duties of both, and those men who do not choose to dance or marry themselves have no business with the partners or wives of their neighbors. But they are such very different things that you think they cannot be compared together? To be sure not. People that marry can never part, but must go and keep house together. People that dance only stand opposite each other in a long room for half an hour. And such is your definition of matrimony and dancing. Taken in that light, certainly the resemblance is not striking. But I think I could place them in such a view. You will allow that in both man has the advantage of choice, woman only the power of refusal, that in both it is an engagement between man and woman formed for the advantage of each, and that when once entered into, they belong exclusively to each other till the moment of its dissolution, that it is their duty each to endeavor to give the other no cause for wishing that he or she had bestowed themselves elsewhere, in their best interest to keep their own imaginations from wandering toward the perfections of their neighbors, or fancying that they should have been better off with anyone else. You will allow all this? Yes, to be sure, as you state it, all this sounds very well, but still they are so very different, I cannot look upon them at all in the same light, nor think the same duties belong to them. In one respect, there certainly is a difference. In marriage, the man is supposed to provide for the support of the woman to make the home agreeable to the man. He is to purvey, and she is to smile. But in dancing, their duties are exactly changed. The agreeableness, the compliance, are expected from him, while she furnishes the fan and the lavender water. That, I suppose, was the difference of duties which struck you as rendering the conditions incapable of comparison. No, indeed, I never thought of that. Then I am at quite a loss. One thing, however, I must observe. This disposition on your side is rather alarming. You will totally disallow any similarity in the obligations, and may I not thence infer that your notions of the duties of the dancing state are not so strict as your partner might wish? Have I not reason to fear that if the gentleman who spoke to you just now were to return, or if any other gentleman were to address you, there would be nothing to restrain you from conversing with him as long as you chose? Mr. Thorpe is such a very particular friend of my brother's that if he talks to me, I must talk to him again. But there are hardly 3 young men in the room besides him that I have any acquaintance with, and that is to be my only security. Alas, alas! Nay, I am sure you cannot have a better, for if I do not know anybody, it is impossible for me to talk to them, and besides, I do not want to talk to anybody. Now you have given me a security worth having, and I shall proceed with courage. Do you find Bath as agreeable as when I had the honor of making the inquiry before? Yes, quite. More so, indeed. More so. Take care, or you will forget to be tired of it at the proper time. You ought to be tired at the end of 6 weeks. I do not think I should be tired if I were to stay here 6 months. Bath, compared with London, has little variety, and so everybody finds out every year. For 6 weeks, I allow Bath is pleasant enough, but beyond that is the most tiresome place in the world. You would be told so by people of all descriptions who come regularly every winter, lengthen their 6 weeks into 10 or 12, and go away at last because they can afford to stay no longer. Well, the people must judge for themselves, and those who go to London may think nothing of Bath, but I, who live in a small, retired village in the country, can never find greater sameness in such a place as this than in my own home, for here are a variety of amusements, a variety of things to be seen and done all day long, which I can know nothing of there. You are not fond of the country? Yes, I am. I have always lived there, and have always been very happy. But certainly there is much more sameness in a country life than in a Bath life. One day in the country is exactly like another. But then you spend your time so much more rationally in the country. Do I? Do you not? I do not believe there is much difference. Here you are in pursuit of only of amusement all day long. And so I am at home, only I do not find so much of it. I walk about here, and so I do there. But here I see a variety of people in every street, and there I can only go and call on Mrs. Allen. Mr. Tilney was very much amused. Only go and call on Mrs. Allen, he repeated. What a picture of intellectual poverty. However, when you sink into this abyss again, you will have more to say. You will be able to talk of Bath and of all you did here. Oh, yes, I shall never be in want of something to talk of again to Mrs. Allen or anybody else. I really believe I shall always be talking of Bath when I am at home again. I do like it so very much. If I could but have Papa and Mamma and the rest of them here, I suppose I should be too happy. James is coming, my eldest brother, is quite delightful, and especially, as it turns out, the very family which we just got so intimate with are his intimate friends already. Oh, who can ever be tired of Bath? Not those who bring such fresh feelings of every sort to it as you do, but papas and mammas and brothers and intimate friends are a good deal gone by to most of the frequenters of Bath, and the honest relish of balls and plays and everyday sights is past with them. Here their conversation closed, the demands of the dance becoming now too importunate for a divided attention. Soon after their reaching the bottom of the set, Catherine perceived herself to be earnestly regarded by a gentleman who stood among the lookers-on immediately behind her partner. He was a very handsome man of commanding aspect, past the bloom, but not past the vigor of life, and with his eye still directed towards her, she saw him presently address Mr. Tilney in a familiar whisper. Confused by his notice, and blushing from the fear of its being excited by something wrong in her appearance, she turned away her head, but while she did so, the gentleman retreated, and her partner, coming nearer, said, I see that you guess what I have just been asked. That gentleman knows your name, and you have a right to know his. It is General Tilney, my father. Catherine's answer was only, oh, but it was an oh, expressing everything needful, attention to his words and perfect reliance on their truth. With real interest and strong admiration did her eye now follow the general as he moved through the crowd. And how handsome a family they are, was her secret remark. In chatting with Miss Tilney before the evening concluded, a new source of felicity arose to her. She had never taken a country walk since her arrival in Bath. Miss Tilney, to whom all the commonly frequented environs were familiar, spoke of them in terms which made all her eagerness to know them too, and on her openly fearing she might find nobody to go with her, it was proposed by the brother and sister that they should join in a walk, some morning or other. I shall like it, she cried, beyond anything in the world, and do not let us put it off. Let us go tomorrow. This was readily agreed to, with only a proviso of Miss Tilney's that it did not rain, which Catherine was sure it would not. At 12 o'clock they were to call for her in Pulteney Street, and remember, 12 o'clock was her parting speech to her new friend. Of her brother, her older, her more established friend Isabella, of whose fidelity and worth she had enjoyed a fortnight's experience, she scarcely saw anything during the evening. Yet, though longing to make her acquainted with her happiness, she cheerfully submitted to the wish of Mr. Allen, which took them rather early away, and her spirits danced within her as she danced in her chair all the way home.